Well, speaking of pretty, hello and welcome to this week's episode of Pit Against State Live, Flesh and Blood Call-In Show. This is episode 4633, and I'm joined by my constant co-host, Kevin Smurph Murphy. I'm William Table and Legs. What's up?
Where did the time go? What episode are we on?
Speaking of that, Pit Against is a live call-in show. If you'd like to be live on air talking to us about your hot take, you can join the link that's in the description. It goes to a Discord channel where you can put your take in the call-in topics channel. You could also, and then if we like your take, we can pull you on air and talk to you live on the show today, boosting Spendog. And we can also, if you don't want to be live on air talking to us because we're beautiful and intimidating, you can just put it in the chat, or you can put in the comments down below, or you can just put it in the Discord server, and I can probably bring it up. Now I've got this while I'm grilling. Oh, heck yeah. We got grilling going on right now. Okay, so Kevin, what is up?
Nats prep.
Nats prep. Okay, so also, we're not
Yep.
going to be doing this next week.
Yes.
And maybe ever again. No, we're only just going to be not doing it next week, as Kevin's going to be out of town in Las Vegas gambling for first place at U.S. Nationals, and gambling on himself. And then also pre-release is coming up this weekend. Tomorrow. I'm going to be playing in as soon as I can a pre-release tomorrow. You have how many pre-releases you're going to?
Assuming I get to them before they hit player cap, 4.
That's a lot of pre-releases. At least we'll have access to a number of cards.
I would, yeah. Hopefully.
Heck yeah. So yeah, if you want to be live on air talking to us, just give us some takes, and we'll probably talk about them tonight. But I think other than that, we'll just be talking about the first thing, which is, so you're going to Nationals.
Yep.
Is your Nationals deck public? Or not necessarily the deck, but the hero?
Not yet. Yeah, it's Prism. Duh.
That's fine.
It's Prism.
Yeah, how is Nationals prep going on? Because we're having a little bit of shakeup. There's going to be 4 new heroes in Nationals. Is
3?
Valda legal at Nationals?
Oh, yes. Valda.
Yeah.
So there is going to be 4.
See, no one remembers her. But yeah, we're going to have 4 heroes legal at Nationals. How much is that actually going to shake things up?
I mean, a decent bit. Like, they're... All of them are at least relevant enough that you need to have game plans for them. This is not like Verdant's on release or Acilio on release, where it's just kind of like they're trying and they're just not there. Like, these are all heroes that like can do stuff, and you need to know what they're doing. And like Puffin, I guess, is the most linear of them. But understanding when to block and like what it looks like when she's about to have a power turn or something like that, like,
Yes. Yeah.
that's all super relevant. But yeah, you need to know how to play against Gravy. You need to know how to play against Marlin. Like,
The
it's
world
super
knows
relevant.
about...
And Valda.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything about.
No.
In all honesty.
I think she just needs whatever's coming out in the next set to
Yeah.
really solidify her as her own deck. Because I don't know, Guardian's struggling a little bit, which is fine for now. But and I've waxed on about that. But so we have been talking about how Nationals is a little bit plagued by supply issues, right? So that was kind of part of my question, was how relevant are these decks? Like, how many of these decks are we going to see? Like, how many Gravies are going to be there?
Probably slightly less than you would if there was normal supply for a first week release. Like, the biggest issue is really it's just the week of release, and it's about the issue. You still have the issue of testing the deck and getting it into a place where you feel comfortable taking it to U.S. Nationals, which is like tier 3.5. Like, it's not a tier 4, but day 2 is pretty close to day 2 of a Pro Tour in terms of like quality of player.
Yeah.
Like, especially now that they're changing it to 8 rounds as well. Like, it's not going to be easy to day 2. So taking a deck that you've had paper in your hands for at most 12 hours, and that's like if people do give you the cards Thursday night, or like maybe it's from Hemel or whoever and you get them Wednesday or something, like you can be testing online and stuff, but you're also like, that's not something everyone wants to do.
Yeah. And I mean,
so
a lot of people talk about how
already,
decks feel different when you actually get your hands on them.
Yes, for sure. But like when you're not going to be able to get paper reps, and also like then you're also not sure if you can get the cards, so then you're less likely to test it. So then you're just less likely to bring it, even if you would really want to. So like, I don't know if we're going to see a ton. We're going to see way less than we would if the event was 2 weeks after release. So we're going to see way less than we would at any of the European Nationals or any of the APAC events or anything like that. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I assume they're also going to be expensive too, right?
Oh yeah.
That's a prohibitive factor for some people.
Like, those decks are going to be like $2,000.
You imagine some people from the East Coast, they're going to take a plane out there, they're going to have a hotel, they're going to stay multiple nights, not just for the event, but like for nights before and potentially after. And you want to put on top of that, having to buy a brand new deck basically from the ground up. Like, you might have, I don't know, Sink Below in the deck and call that the only old card you have in it. Maybe. So like in that sense, like that's huge. That's very expensive on top of this trip that's already expensive.
Yeah, which like all of these things are mixed together, and it's hard to say like how much is one thing versus the other, but like it's definitely not a benefit. But I think representation of these heroes is going to be fairly small, and I think it's going to be like at most 10 of each, and that's out of a 600-person field, or a 520 that show up. I think we'll see like maybe 5 or 6 of each, depending.
And I think
well, Marlin might be the exception because you can run a Marlin build that's almost entirely Lexi cards.
True,
but
a lot cheaper.
Yes,
I think saying all this, I think there's zero shot that nobody brings one of them, right? Like that any of them show up as 0. I think there's no shot at somebody's going to shell out and bring it and play it and be like, I'm the first person in the first CC event playing Gravy Bones.
Yeah, somebody has pre-ordered a full Gravy Bones deck from MinMax probably, and they will show up Thursday evening or Friday morning and pick up all the cards, sleeve them, and go play it. For sure.
Yeah. So I'm excited as a spectator. I know this is something we meme about, but as a spectator, I think this is very exciting. And maybe even for new players or people coming into the game at this set. Just, there's hype of, these are the best players in the world, seeing some of these cards, putting some of these cards in their hands for the very first time. What can they do with them? No doubt some of these heroes are going to be on camera, and we get to see what they look like against our current meta of heroes, and that's going to be sick. Casters are going to be hyped. The players,
as exciting as it would have been if all the players had normal access to the cards. Would that have been more exciting?
See, the thing is, like, if you gave this like a week or two, which is like all that some people are asking for, if you gave this like a week or
that's
two,
all I'm asking for.
If you gave it like a week or two, as Boosting Spendog is mentioning in chat, like there is still that element of surprise and unknown where you're still like, what does Michael Hamilton think of Puffin list, right? Like what is his insert hero here list or whatever, or Pablo Pintor, like some of the best players in the world. What are you thinking they're bringing when they get a couple of weeks on these decks? And it's going to be exciting to see. It would be like 95% as exciting. It would still be super exciting, and I think some people still wouldn't even like. They're not playing any of the new heroes, but then they get to see some of the best players in the world play them anyways, and if they delayed it a few weeks or could delay it a few weeks, like it would still be exciting. And that's your argument, right? Is
Yeah, I mean, we went into Nats last year and we'd had Mistville for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd had like a little teaser of what Mistville Constructed could look like.
Mm-hmm.
And people still just like had no idea going in like where exactly everything would land. And then Evan Herndon is like has clearly pushed Zen the furthest. Or like
Yeah.
of the players who did well,
Yes.
he had
Yeah.
very clearly pushed Zen the furthest.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to see that, and that set the tone for the entirety of national season when we
Yeah.
were still the week before everyone else, and we were 2 weeks after set release, which like they don't know everything perfectly a year out.
Yeah.
Like
I also think
I understand,
there's a part of me
but
that still wants to believe that this is all just a logistics issue, and that with some things maybe just not within their control. Like the set had to release a certain week, and then they
sure,
booked a venue
yeah,
at a very specific week, and it's like, ah, frick. Or maybe like it could be something as simple
yeah.
as like,
Well,
I don't know. There were
I mean,
printing
the
issues.
Nats venue thing
They
for sure.
pushed back their timeline for the release weekend behind the scenes, and then that just ended up
Maybe.
butting up against nationals or something. It's hard to say
so
without direct
nationals
answers, but
is sure. Nationals is like in Vegas in at like the beginning of World Series of Poker month.
oh, oh no, we
So
talked
like
about this. Oh my gosh, yeah. I
yeah.
don't know if it was on this,
So like
but yeah,
I don't know if they can get the venue for a week from now or 2 weeks
that's a
from
good
now.
point.
Like and I understand that being the concern if they want to have the event in Vegas again. I think they don't need to have the event in Vegas again, considering that was 2 years ago. Unless there was like if there were 4 or 5 other venues like that all fell through for whatever reason,
Mm-hmm.
sure, fine. But like, if their choice was to go back to Vegas, eh?
I think behind the scenes is this is it's very seldom that LSS ever does this. They're one of the most open
Yeah,
companies, major companies. Like they are, especially even for a TCG, right? Like so, like compared to Pokemon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, they're so open, and I feel like this is one of the things where they're a little hold their tongue on. Is I gotta believe someone at LSS is like kicking themselves about this whole thing, right? Like they're just like, dang, if
I
this
mean, I
only
wouldn't be
lined up a little bit, just
yeah.
differently,
I mean,
god dang it.
James probably
Yeah, right?
like no, he is a perfectionist and he wants all of this to go perfectly. Like I
Mm-hmm.
know that they're not happy about this.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're not saying anything like really new. It's just like my personal preference is not Vegas, and if that meant they could move it, then that would be also nice. But I think they know what the community thinks on this.
And
Like
that's why I think they need to move
I think
Worlds
that
to Roanoke. It's not that big of a jump, and it's probably a lot easier on them, you know? Cheaper venue, definitely, right? No shot the god
harder
dang.
for everyone to get to.
We have a
How many
not
how many
major.
thousands of people would you have going through the Roanoke airport
What? Because of this? Because of Worlds?
because of Worlds? Yeah, you want to run all of those flights through Roanoke Airport?
Sure, why not? I don't know. Frick. One less
No,
because I
you
won't be
don't.
flying. I wouldn't be flying anyways.
It's
But
like two gates.
the major airport of ROA. No, no,
It is not.
no, no. I am stoked that it's on the East Coast. I'm actually gonna get to go. I'm super excited. Yeah, I mean, there's like
National Bridge.
there's like
Oh my
4 things
goodness.
to do in Roanoke if you want to. Like, you know,
Yeah,
they
definitely.
got McDonald's. I don't know what more do you need? Jeez, frick. All right, we've complained about this not just on this episode, but obviously on other
Yeah,
ones. Beat it to whatever, and hopefully
picking a dead
it
horse.
would be nice to have a retrospective, like how does it feel the week after, where we're just like, oh, we got there and all the card prices were way lower than we expected. Like everyone dropped their price by like $10 on most things. Like that would be silly and
That would be
maybe
dope.
something cool. But well, I think it's
Yeah,
probably gonna run the way we're expecting it to, and well,
yeah, which is fine. We have been aware of it and we are expecting it, and certainly better than the alternative.
No use worrying about things that we can't control. So let's worry about things we can control. I think we have a caller waiting. Do we want to pull him in?
Yeah, I'll go grab him.
Heck yeah, thank you. And I'll get to remind everyone that if you want to be just like our handsome caller and be handsome, you can be handsome on here by calling in and giving us your hot takes about Flesh and Blood, right? So, like, we've already kind of talked about Nationals, but, like, the set is coming out. Pre-release is coming up. How the frick do you play that? And then also the new heroes, like Valda. Valda wasn't even mentioned. Like, we completely forgot about Valda. Like, is she going to shake up the game? Do you think she's going to shake up the game in any special, meaningful way? I don't know. I'm sure some people believe so. And I've definitely seen some numbers that people have shown me where she does something crazy. But I'd love to hear somebody argue about that with us. But currently to argue with us is nobody, because we actually have somebody that I'm bringing on air. We have none other than Battle-Hardened champion Boosting Spendog. Boosting Spendog in the house.
What's up, Fabulous? How's it going? Brucey Spendog here on the Table Pit channel.
Heck yes. I love that.
Hi.
Dude, you won a Battle-Hardened.
I know, right? How did I do that? How did that happen?
Sheer luck. So
Yeah.
Tell me, so let's see. Just briefly, and then we can skip on to actual topics. How was the weekend? Who'd you play, and like how many rounds of those? Like, what heroes did you play?
So going into the weekend, the world premiere, I'm boosting Spendog, so I'm a mech player, and I really wanted to play Puffin.
Boosting.
So I was like, we're just gonna force Puffin and see how it goes. And while it was a ton of fun, I don't think my pool was a Puffin pool.
So the Battle-Hardened starts out as it's sealed, or?
So yeah, Battle-Hardened is it was sealed, and then top 8 is a draft.
Whoa.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whoa, crazy, I know, right?
So tell me about your sealed pool. Everyone else, so they can learn a little bit ahead of their pre-release. What they absolutely need to be forcing in sealed.
Yeah, when it comes to sealed, the most important thing is to skillfully just open really good cards. Like, what did I pull? I pulled a Return Fire, and do you guys know what Return Fire does?
Yeah.
Go ahead and enlighten people who might not.
Yeah. It's a 4 block, right? So this is already cracked. And then when it defends, you banish an arrow from your hand. And then at the start of your turn, it gets put into your arsenal face up with +3 attack power. Right?
That's absurd.
So it's a 1-card 7, right?
Yes, it is.
Absurd. And then I had this card called Patch in the Hole on my headpiece, which is like you can put an arrow from your or any card from your arsenal into your hand, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So I had 2 major combos. I would arsenal the Return Fire, right? Scary block. Like,
oh my gosh!
But yeah,
no
you
way.
return it to your head, and then you block with it, and your opponent's just like, "What just happened?"
What the frick? I haven't heard of that. That's so good.
How crazy, right?
Holy frick!
And then you combine that with like a harpoon, and you just give it overpower, and then it's coming in for 6, 7, 8, 9 overpower, and that just kills people from like 6 life. Or you combine it with a headshot, and headshots are 1 for 6, and that's also just busted, right?
Oh yeah, headshots in this.
Yeah.
God
that just
dang.
starts as a 9.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's sealed was easy. How was draft?
Draft was not so easy. Draft was a little bit harder.
Oh yeah.
Because I didn't pull anything major, right?
Okay.
So I have no idea how to draft this set. This was the first draft of this set that I've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
And
it was I
wouldn't say I'm.
Yeah. It's like the second draft that ever actually happened, right? Like physical draft, right? They had one for the calling and one for Battle-Hardened. 4?
There were a few on demand drafts. But
oh, okay.
I think there were two drafts in the calling.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
They drafted twice in Swiss for the calling, and then they drafted top 8.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it was like
all of day 2 is draft.
Okay. Huh. That's kind of
I
cool.
was not watching that though.
Well, yeah, you were busy winning the battle hard.
I was busy winning the battle hardened. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I don't remember what my picks were like, but I was one of 2 Marlin.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So that's already very good. And I was just open for the first 3 picks, and then I got past like a red headshot, and then I got past like a dry powder shot or something. Oh no, it was an entangling shot, and eventually I just the main thing you want to focus on in this set is drafting pumps. Or in Marlin, you want to draft pumps, and in general, lots of go again. So the pumps will just increase your kill range on the overpowered harpoon, right?
Oh, true. Yeah.
And then the go again keeps up the pressure on your opponent. So I was just like, I didn't have a lot of like attacks that go again, but I had like 12 pumps in my deck, and we just said like
12
like big
pumps.
arrows. Like I did like an attack for 18, and then an attack for 15. And my opponent just can't can't handle it. Like,
your pumps are kind of your go again, right? So like you play a pump that's
exactly.
man. That's funny.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
That's
So your
One of
your win rate in the battle hardened, how many games did you drop like in Swiss?
So you had to go X1 to make top 8, and I lost round 2.
Oh,
So-
wow.
Very, very scary. I was like, guys, I'm 1-1. I'm probably cooked. But they were like, just keep playing.
And then you
have
did.
to win the rest. So
Yeah.
I just did, yeah. I was
Just win
tweaking
out.
the whole way up there.
You
And,
Pablo
like,
Pintored
I
it,
versed,
just went out.
exactly. I versed Arthur Trahey,
Whoa.
and I think he was trying to pitch stack me, and I was just nah. Huge, like I would block out his big turn and then return fire, to do like a 20 damage or 20 value
so
turn.
thematic.
It's just, and that just wins games. Yeah, return fire was just carried me.
That's
Won't
great.
lie.
That's hilarious. Thank you for taking some more elo from Arthur. I'm now up. to
Yeah,
8.
yeah. You're so welcome, bro.
Love that. Love that.
But other than the draft and all that, I think the set is one of the best limited sets I have ever played.
I've heard that.
So
I've heard
good.
that. Yeah.
It's so
Tell me
good.
more about that.
So, I think the new macro Treasure Island adds just a whole nother dynamic. Yeah, Murphy just shaking his head like, yeah.
Because
It's so good.
there's very little actual on hits in this set outside of Treasure Island, right? Like Marlin has a couple. Puffin
Yeah,
has kind of
there's
a
a-
couple.
Yeah, there's a few. There's like Strike Gold, and then Marlin has a few on the harpoons.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's not too crazy. But I think on hit gold
From
is
the macro,
really
yeah.
interesting because you can there are strategies, and you can build different decks, like completely different decks on the same hero. Let me think of some examples, right? Maybe so there's a gravy deck that will let your opponent hit, so you can just give them all the gold in the world, right?
Okay.
And then you can play these mutinies that will give like your next attack overpower +2 or go again. And then
And
you can
steal.
start like, yeah, and
Steal
you
the
steals
gold.
the gold from them.
That's funny.
Yep.
So you never have to block their attacks out, right?
Yep.
And
Yeah.
then there's a yellow set of cards. I think it's like Gold Hunter something
Yep.
that will have an effect if they have more gold than you. So you just become innately stronger if they
Yeah.
have more gold, and you just steal the gold straight back, and it's fire.
So, what were you finding you were doing over the weekend? Because I've heard that people were doing things where like both players were blocking out, and Treasure Island goes up to 1,000,000. And then I've also heard that like there's games where they're both like aggroing each other, and they each get like 1 gold a turn because they're always hitting.
Yeah.
How are your games?
So it depends on the build. I'll shed some light on the Marlin deck I was playing. With the Marlin deck, I'm trying to play it like a Guardian, right? So
okay.
I want to block 2 cards and then send 2 cards, right?
Yeah.
I want all the cards in my deck to block 3. And into Puffin, if they don't have gold, they can't do anything, right? They can't activate their hero ability to crank and do all that stuff, right? So I was just blocking out puffins and fatiguing them because their turns were doo-doo.
Mm-hmm.
And when they couldn't use their whole hand, I would just punish them and send back a huge arrow and just stick it in their life total, and then, they cry a little bit.
Huh.
And it's kind of degenerate, but yeah.
I guess my next question would be, like, obviously people are presenting on hits. How much equipment did you have in both the sealed and the draft?
4 in both.
Jeez.
Very, very important equipment for denying the treasure island. You want a full. I had a full suite of equipment in top 8, and it went a long way. It denied Puffin gold, like, just by the breakpoint of 1, and I was like, thank God I drafted this. Otherwise, he'd crank next turn, and his turn was cracked. Like, I've had Puffins block with 3 sky high skimmers or something, and if they just had a gold, they'd be able to go 4 into 4, which is a 2-card 8. Instead, they blocked 6. So, hallelujah.
Heck yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So do you have any big, like, hot takes coming out of this, right? You've played more
Big hot.
of this set than anyone on Earth right now. That's not entirely true.
Real.
But you're in there in the top 1% of players for this format. Any immediate hot takes before it hits the hands of the general mass of people and they slowly start to figure out the actual draft format?
We're talking about just limited, right?
Right now, yeah.
Yeah. Hot takes, definitely. Marlin and Gravy Bones are just absolutely the strongest.
Oh.
And if you play Puffin, you have to be prepared to get blocked out and generate gold on your own without Treasure Island to actually push damage.
Okay. Interesting. I think that's good. And I think well, part of it is for a selfish reason. My pre-release is tomorrow, and this is good to know. Like this is exciting to know. I'll think about that. So,
yeah. Anyway, you're paying me like what, $6,000 for this information later or something?
Freaking off
Like,
air.
how much are you
Shush.
Oh wait, my bad. Whoopsie.
We're gonna be paying you in gold treasure packs.
Oh baby, I'll take 1 gold treasure pack, please.
If you know what, you can have literally every single one of my gold treasure packs. Kevin, don't tell him how many boxes I'm opening.
0.
I'm opening 0.
No. That's very kind of you.
Kevin, do you have any questions or anything to add to all this?
Which weapons were you seeing out of Mech and Ranger the most?
Ooh, that's a great question. Thank you for asking. Okay, so for the
man wins a battle
Gravy
hard.
Bones,
He's now like super professional. I'm pretty sure I can guess what Gravy Bones' weapon's gonna be, but go ahead.
Gravy Bones? I actually don't play a weapon in Gravy Bones.
Oh,
funnily
frick.
enough. I just, yeah, I know, right? I just play nothing, and it wins games. But the offhand's pretty busted, so make sure you run that. For Marlin though, if you have a more red line build, you'll definitely want to be on Red Spine Manta, because that free load into Arsenal is so key to being able to like shoot. Because if you're playing the cannon, right, you need to load the turn before, or you need to crack a gold, draw a card, and then you can load. So it's a lot like.
Which one did you see more people playing?
Definitely cannon.
Okay.
Cannon is real good. I would say it's quite underrated. It can turn 2 blues into 4 power, and if you use it on a harpoon, it gives it overpower, right?
Yeah.
If you have any harpoons in your deck, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then you have 2 floating resources, which you can just crack a gold to draw a card. So essentially, that's 7 value if you pitch the 2 blues.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And then you can also just load off that. And if you draw a pump, you just throw out the pump and then shoot for tons of damage. But it's the real power in the cannon is late game. You can crack a gold, crack a gold with Marlin to create the harpoon, and then draw a card, and then you just load it, pitch to the cannon, and then shoot it for 6 overpower. It's just a Nothos with overpower, and it will just end games like no tomorrow. It's ridiculous. If you pump it, it's that the kill ceiling is even higher.
So
Yep.
how about Puffin? Because I know a lot of people were like more excited initially about the free gun, but
Yeah.
I've been hearing that people have been playing like on Bluesky or whatever, that people are more actually probably going to play the 2-cost one more.
The blunderbuss.
Yeah.
In limited.
In limited.
So yeah, you're essentially correct. Like, you need to, if you want to get the value off the free weapon, you have to use your whole hand and then swing with the weapon, which is unlikely. So the blunderbuss, being able to tap a cog and then give it go again and then attack with it is super strong, and not needing to tap a cog to actually attack with it as well just lets you just dump a card into it and get your value out of it, which is really nice. And it's really nice for going wide into gravy where you're just trying to push as much damage as possible.
Yeah.
Oh, kitty cat.
Yeah, Gordon joining us on stream. How you doing today, Gordon?
Is that actually the cat's name?
Yep.
Oh my god. Gordon, my love. He looks like a mischievous meep right now.
He is one. Look at him. Look at those eyes.
Wow. Bro, he's just chilling.
All right.
He does not care.
Yeah. Well, again, like, congratulations on winning. That's like super hype.
Thank you.
You got gold foil hook.
Yeah.
That's
Gold
sick.
foil, gold baited hook.
Gold baited hook.
So cool. Yeah, man. I'm just gonna look at it for now because it's so pretty. I don't know what else I'm gonna do with it, but yeah, I have nothing else to say about this format other than go play High Seas because it's probably the best limited format like ever.
It's
Yeah.
It's exciting. I'm very excited to play it. I have a coworker of mine that I get to play Flesh and Blood with sometimes, and when he sat down to play for the first time, I think he played a Snatch. We were playing like Iradex or something like that, and when he played Snatch and it said on hit, draw a card, he goes, "Oh my gosh, that's just the whole game." He's like, the whole game, as soon as you have on hits, the whole game opens up. It's not just who can just beat the piss out of each other, the other one first. It's like on hits, and also other ways that the game math breaks itself is just that's what adds like all the nuance and flavor to it. So I think the allies in this set, and I think the what is it? Is it landmark? No, what is it called? Freaking
Landmark.
Yeah, it is a landmark.
Macro.
Macro. Yeah, the macro and the allies, I think, really make this set like interesting and unique and have a lot of depth to it. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
Also, weirdly, like Tap is doing everything I kind of wanted it to do, where it's like an effect that you could do on your opponent's turn or could do on your turn, and now you're having to you're weighing options on what to do with permanents on the board, which normally permanents are just like after they hit the board, that's like their mode. They did that mode already. Whereas now, like, they seem to have more like decision points, and that's always super fun. So I'm
that's
really
because they put them on the permanents we already have.
Yeah,
which
true.
Is our equipment and some items, but also like our equipment, the heroes, the weapons, allies, like these are all things we already had, and they just like, we're gonna add a little extra layer to it.
I love that. Love it.
Why? So nice.
Fussy Gordon.
Pussy.
Gordon's
Gordon.
anxious to start drafting High Seas. Well, thank you so much for coming on again. 100%. Congratulations. That's super awesome. And
Thank you. I appreciate it.
filling me in more on the set is always dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Perk Up's busted. Perk Up is ridiculous.
That's the one that
Never
untaps things.
Untapped hero.
Yeah. So you can essentially draw a card with your hero, which is real juicy. And don't attack Gravy's allies. Just let them live and then go face.
Just hit Gravy.
Unless it's a rigor mortis. Just what?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, like I think it's interesting because if the Gravy has a lot of allies, you just hit Gravy.
Yeah.
But if he's got like very few allies, then maybe you hit very few allies.
It's very dependent, and I trust that you, William Table and Legs. What's the last name? It's truncated right here. Knuckles. You'll figure it out as you go, and that is the most fun part of it, etc.
All I need to do when I go to my pre-release is open 6 packs. Beyond that, I'm already having a good time. So
Exactly, bro.
Yeah,
Cracking
100%.
packs is the gyat of Flesh and Blood.
I don't know what that means. I'm too old.
I mean, it just gyat means essentially like
No, we don't need this. I don't know what. I don't want to know actually at this point. I'm not just old. I'm stubborn. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to us. Is there anything you want to shout out?
No worries. Shout out the table, the Pit Against Colin show, the Table Pit. Such a good show, great show. If you're not subscribed, and if you did, there's one like on the stream. Someone liked the stream, and also, I don't know if you guys have heard of the Boosting Spendog channel. I've watched all that guy's content, and I think it really helped me win that Battle Hardened. So if you also want to win a Battle Hardened, go subscribe to Boosting Spendog on Twitter. I'll put it in the chat right now.
Okay, sure. 100%. Well, the cool thing about following Boosting Spendog on Bluesky is he didn't make a post after he won the Battle Hardened, so I had no idea that it was actually him that won the Battle Hardened. And so I was like, that looks just like Boosting Spendog. No shot he totally won that. He won that, didn't he? I had to have someone explain it to me. Like, that was, yeah. So Boosting Spendog's going to start posting on Bluesky more, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. I'll start posting on Bluesky more. My boss walked into work and she was like, Spencer, did you fucking win a competition? Why are you on my Facebook page? What is this?
That's dope.
How the fuck did you see this?
That's dope.
I know.
That's so cool.
Dope.
Hilarious.
And then you said,
Hilarious
no,
stuff.
I need a raise.
Yeah, give me a raise.
All right, I want everyone in chat right now to go to their boss at the next applicable moment and ask for a raise. Thank you so much for joining us on the call.
No worries.
We'll catch you next time.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me. I'll
No.
see you next time.
It was awesome. All right, see ya.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, to adjust a few things, Joshua Scott, William, you're going to start streaming Go at some point. Do you have a schedule yet? Maybe. I was saying, so I made a tweet that if Flesh and Blood ever goes under, I'm going to probably just result to streaming chess or Go. I don't think I want to go to another TCG. So what was actually happening is I was watching content for a different TCG that isn't one of the big three and isn't Flesh and Blood. And I was like, wow, I just cannot see myself getting into this if anything were to ever happen to James White's game. It's just like, man, just Flesh and Blood has spoiled me. Like, it's too good. So I think I am going to stream Go at some point soon, and it might even be Sunday. We'll see. But yeah.
All right.
Which an update for this is Saturday is going to be a stream. I'm going to stream with Wyatt. We're just going to play some Talishar, see how that goes.
Okay.
And then also doing the stream where we do the art show with Amy, as always. Or I say as always, as every other week. With that out of the way, this isn't really a super hot take. It was a hot take until we had the world premiere, and now I think it's probably been shot. But like, one of my hot takes was going to be draft pods, are going to be 3-3-2 on average, where Gravy is the 2. Or
Yeah.
it was either going to be 3-3-2 where Gravy is the 2 because the other 3 heroes can split their decks amongst the different weapons that they have. Like you could have one Marlin of one weapon and 2 of another, and same with Puffin, and then you have Gravy. But then I was also thinking about there could be a possibility where you have 4-2-2, where you have like, or maybe like 1-3-2, where it's like one would be Scurv and one would be like a generic focused Gravy, and then like 2 generic focused pirate focused heroes, 2 ally focused Gravies, and then 2 Puffin 2. Oh, that's kind of my second point. Boosting Spendog saying his top 8 was 4-2-2, 4 Gravy. And that was the other idea I had, was like, what if like 2 of the Gravies were more pirate Gravy, the other 2 were more ally Gravy, and then you have 2-2.
Yeah.
It's a little speculative. We've also had the world premiere. I want to know Kevin's thoughts on what you think draft pods shape out to look like in this set. Like what an expected draft pod looks like. And maybe it's like subject to change too because of Scurv, like if that shows up.
Oh yeah, I mean Scurv will change a lot of that because you can't Scurv will change some of that. They are lighter on class cards in this set than they have been before. There's only 5 instead of like 6 or 7, which means there's just more generics, which pirates are generics effectively in this set.
Yeah.
The pirate cards are usually better than the generics though, or they're like higher synergy for higher power or something like that. But I think it's going to be pretty close to 3-3-2 just because people want to find the open class at first, and they're not going to be drafting a like mono pirate deck necessarily and just picking whatever and ending up in the 4th seat, but it's not really a 4th, it's really a 3-2-2-1 type deal.
Yeah.
Where it would look like you have a Scurv. I don't know if people are doing that intentionally at Nats. I think come Singapore there might be, when people have played the draft format for 2 months.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a lot of 3-3-2 at Nats, and I wouldn't be surprised if, like, because they show us the draft numbers, and like the last few events have all been like super even splits. Like it would be 500-person events, and it would be within 4 or 5 for each of them across the entire event. And I think it's probably going to be pretty close to that, with Scurv being the outlier, of course. Yeah. I think only half of the Scurvs that are like drafted will get played, if that.
Yeah, because
like at most half of them.
The earlier into the draft you see Scurv, the more likely you're gonna want to play them.
Yes, and that's like if you're like pick 1 Scurv, you could probably like pack 1 pick 1 Scurv, but if you open it pack 3, you're super unlikely to be playing it. I think depends a little bit on your seat, because if you were in that like generic pirate deck anyways, then you can still do that. But I think it's a very flexible 3-3-2 at the moment, where it's like you might have some draft pods that are 4-2-2, and it's correct for the draft pod to be 4-2-2.
Yeah.
But that's just because they've learned a lot from Mistveil and Rosetta in this case, where it's like they dialed down the class. In Rosetta, they dialed down the class cards entirely, where there were no cards in the pack at common that you could only play in 1 hero. It was all Earth or Lightning or Runeblade or Wizard at common.
And that was split between at least 2 heroes.
Each of them was split. Yeah, each of those was split between 2 heroes, and you would occasionally they would have a generic, like 1 generic per.
It was like a more.
It was like 2 generics per 3 packs or something.
It even more like blurred lines version of Monarch, where Monarch had cards like generics that were like,
it was fully.
You want to play maybe this card in Prism Levia, or you want to play this card in Chain Bolton, but like they still had Shadow Brew cards. They still had.
Yes. Oh, they had like 8 or 7.
Yeah. It was a lot, and they've kind of toned it down.
Now it's way toned it down.
Yeah, so
not kind of. It feels super different.
And I think this is exciting if they do it more because the things that make some of the best Flesh and Blood drafts are basically just having more decision points and more options, which is what everyone says they love about playing the actual game of Flesh and Blood as well, is when you do a million different things with your hand, it becomes really interesting. So when the last 3 cards of the pack you're having a tough decision on, because one's like a 2-block blue that does a really interesting thing, one's just a 3-block blue, and then one's a card that doesn't fit your deck, but it's a class card, and it's like, you still have decision there or something, like, or maybe it's a red, and you're like, I don't know if I need another red, but it's an okay red.
No, there's 100% decisions to be made in this format, and I am a big fan of it so far. And it's like, the games don't feel ludicrously lopsided. It's a little high power. It's similar to Hunted power level, but there's no blowouts on attack reacts. You don't mandatory have to draft D reacts to play the game. Like, I'm very
I don't know if I care.
Excited.
I'm not as competitively minded, and I don't play draft as much as most people, and so I don't mind those as much, I think, because most of the time when I'm drafting, it's just hanging out with friends.
Sure, but like, you still want to feel like you had a chance to play the game and not you just died to triple react on a backstab that suddenly became 12.
I think a thing at
which I guess backstab gets around it, but
sure.
Like,
but I think a thing at my level that I think is more impactful is the things that they've done for the drafting itself, in the sense of like, there's less. The cards chosen for the set are more intentional. There's not just like colors of an entire card, like red, blues, and yellows of commons and red, blues, and yellows of rares. And I meant to do this to see how many named cards, different named cards in the set there are compared to other draft sets, right? So like, if you just say that in the Hunted,
in terms of
that stab wound, or what am I thinking of? Scar tissue comes in 3 colors.
Yeah.
If you think of that as one named card, but it takes up 3 slots. I wonder if there's more named cards in this set, because there's so many yellows that are unique, there's so many reds that are unique, and blues that are unique. There's probably a lot more named cards in the set, which I think lead to the cards in those individual colors having more meaning, right? So like, if you are drafting a yellow, you are drafting a yellow for a very specific reason. It is not because it is a lesser version of the red that you want.
Yes. Well, it's even just like looking at, like, I'm just going to take the Ranger yellows here for a second. I'm pretty happy to draft any of these.
Yeah.
And that's because it's yellow headshot, which is a 1 for 5.
Not bad.
Which is
very,
still
very
good
solid.
Rate. Yellow salvage shot, which is still 1 for 4, but also then has a relevant on hit, especially into like gravy.
Yes.
Yellow Sikkim shot is just go again.
Yeah.
And then call in the big guns, which is just another way to reload when I have the cannon, which I'm fine with. That's worth some amount to me.
That's also like you said 4 cards there.
Yes.
Like
4 yellows at common.
For that class. And like in other sets, that's like, there's a lot more yellows. Yeah, 6 or 7 in any given class. It could be literally double. So, And then also it's like some of the blues in this set don't have red or yellows to them.
Some blues feel great.
And they feel great.
It's like the whole color fin harpoon cycle.
Yes, that's all blue.
Is all blue. And they're great. They feel fantastic.
Yeah. There's decisions to be made, and I love that.
So like, Necromancer is a little skewed because you have allies for yellows, but like in the whole Bones sequence of Angry Bones, Burly Bones, Restless Bones, Jittery Bones, I just named all of them. That's all of the commons that are not allies. Yeah. So there's 4 yellows.
Just 4. Just like in Ranger.
Yeah.
But like
4 yellows that are not
that are not allies, and allies are more like, they're almost colorless in the sense that they're just like specifically unique. They're not a part of a line.
They just happen to be yellow.
Yeah.
So like,
and then there's also a lot of reds that don't come in other colors as well. which just make them
is great.
feel like power cards when you draft them. You're like, oh, I got this.
Yeah.
It's not, oh, I got the red
Mech-
of this. It's, oh, I got this, which feels super powerful.
Mech has the most at 5.
Wow. The most yellows?
And one of them is Cloud Skiff, which is the yellow 1 for 4 that you can pump it to a 5 or give it go again.
That
and then
one's
Sky
broken.
Skimmer is the 0 for 3 that you can pump to 4.
That one's also really
Or give
good.
go again.
Both of those are great, honestly. Like, even
And they're
a
both 3
yellow.
blocks.
Yeah.
Like, you're fine to take them. They're probably going to wheel just because there's better, like, glue pieces. But, like, we don't have yellow drawback the hammer when we don't need it. We don't have yellow perk up when we don't need it. We really don't need yellow perk up because that would actually just be a good card.
Yeah, and that also
don't
helps
have-
with the set too. It evens it out.
Yeah.
It makes it feel a little more. What I don't know the word I'm looking for, but like it does smooth out the
Just
draft
consistent.
a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we don't have yellow Titan the screws. We have that whole cycle, which is a 1 for 4 pump that untaps a thing.
Yeah.
And they don't need to put yellows in. They don't need to put blues in that are 1 for 2 pumps at 2 block. And you're like,
become
well, I don't want
more-
to draft these.
There's also like they're like draft chaft as well. Like that's just if they had them, it'd be like you never see those in, or you're unlikely to see those in constructed. Oh.
There is 1 yellow at common in a class card that is a 2 block.
Oh, so they're like almost all 3 blocks.
They're all 3 blocks.
Wow.
Except for calling the big guns, which is a 0 cost reload and go
Yeah.
again.
Okay. So it's already.
Sorry. Two of the mech ones are 2 blocks, but they're the ones that destroy an item and make a golden cog, which is itself worth 1 in my mind at least, because you get a cog for next turn to tap and get 1 value.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's like they're pseudo 3 blocks. They're 3 block of value, but like there's only 1 true 2 block in the set that's yellow at common.
That
which
just
is
ends up
great for the set. That's super good for consistency of your deck, of your draft experience. You don't feel like your last 3 picks are just inherently wasted no matter what.
You're not getting a ninja yellow
The
head jab
bananas.
that attacks for 2 and it blocks for 2 and it pitches for 2.
And it pitches for 2. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's I think it's I'm gonna steal a word from another podcast. The set feels fully curated in a way that it feels good, right? Like
They've learned
good.
a lot.
Yeah.
Like it shows that they learned a lot.
I'm
And
sure this took a lot more work, actually, right? And there might be, as
Yes.
a part of having more named cards, I'm sure it costs more in art because you just need more art pieces if you have more card images, right?
For sure.
Card names.
Yeah.
And so, but it's
this is
so
very clearly
worth
to
it.
me.
Yeah. Go
This
ahead.
is very clearly to me them learning an immense, like just so much over the years. Like this is very clearly the result of lessons learned from the past 15 draft sets.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy with a lot of what I see. But even like yellow Swiftwater Sloop is a totally fine card to draft.
It's completely playable.
Yellow's, yeah. Like Surging Strike and Limited is fine.
It's basically
we're
what it
okay
is.
with that.
It's a 2 for 5 with conditional go again, right?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah. And
But
it's
like
yellow.
there's just like so many like cards in here that are just like great glue pieces, and they didn't choose to put Scar for a Scar in it yellow or blue. They didn't put Rabble in it yellow or blue.
But they're in it, which is
Like,
interesting.
yeah, like, and it's so good. But like they did put Nimblism in because they have Nimby and because they have all the new Nimblism synergy cards, which are really sick.
Are they great? Are they good? Is the mono Nimblism deck like
Yes, in
great.
limited. Oh yeah,
really? I want to see it.
yeah. You
is
play it
what
in
I wanna
either
see.
Marlin or Puffin
Okay,
because they have the best 0 cost stuff.
sure. And you just go wide. That's
Yeah,
the
you got to
manta
go wide,
ray deck.
and that is the Red Spine Manta or the Spitfire deck.
Yeah. Okay.
Because that is like you have built-in go again.
I think that's kind of neat because it's almost like an entire deck, a
Yeah.
draftable deck within generic.
Yeah.
Which is super
Yes.
cool.
At common,
At common, yes.
Nimby and Nimblism are common. So the rares are the 0 for 3s that become 0 for 4s
Yo, yo,
with go
yo.
again and on hit steal an item, or on hit untap an ally they control, then steal it.
Till end of turn.
Till end of turn. Oh no.
Well, someone brought that up to me initially and was like, they just steal the ally. And I was like, what the frick?
Sure.
What? You just
they
steal their
it,
Humperdinck?
They attack with it. It is tapped. It goes back to them tapped.
Well, I didn't know that part. I thought you just had it. And I was like, oh, Puffin just gets Humperdinck for the rest of the game. That would be silly.
That would be silly. But no, I think they have made a lot of very intentional choices in this set that are really excellent as a limited experience, and I'm very happy to see this trend continue of like heavy hitters like got me into limited a little bit because it was a bit more approachable, and then Mistveil really sold me on limited, and Rosetta was again another step up, but also like diagonally a step up.
Sure. It was different.
And then Hunted was like a lateral shift where it's like they toyed with stuff a little bit, but they kept their fundamentals. And then this set, they just like
someone's drawing a graph of what you're trying to explain right now.
Yeah,
of just I love that. Yeah, and it's neat. And if the next set is, I'm going to use that word again. If the next set is curated like this, where all the reds and blues and yellows feel much more intentional. This
deliberate.
is 100% where Flesh and Blood's drafting needs to go, because, and I've also been thinking about draft a lot because I've been looking at I wanted set cubes of all my favorite sets, and so I was slowly working towards building those, and it was becoming expensive and time consuming because I had like 6 I wanted to make, and
Bro,
I decided
is there
I wanted
anything you even take
cube
out of this set.
Yeah, dude, like this is the complete set. Like you make what you do, I think, with this is you like literally
take out the amulets, but
yeah, I think there's like some Majestics you might take out and some you might put in more of. But I think like if you wanted to make a set draft of this set cube, then you just need to get the ratios right to where all the cards exist within the cube, so that all of the, because that's the thing about a box is a box might not be able to support every single archetype, or it might not have Scurv in it or something like that.
Sure.
You have a curated version.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So like you can't just like, I think for this, set cube is not just you sleeve up a box. It's like an intentional, you have this many of this card, you have this many of this card, and then you deal it out randomly. But that said, I've actually kind of just like, there's so many sets. Like if sets keep this level of quality going up, then I don't want a set cube anymore. I want just to make my own cube that's like people want to play and is like actually interesting, whatever that ends up looking like. I've been thinking about like what do drafts in Flesh and Blood need to feel good, what feels good when you play drafts, and that's what I was kind of coming to is like, I definitely want yellows in my draft, but they need to be specific and chosen.
They need to feel good to play. It needs to be yellow belittle.
I think
not yellow head jab.
I think it's funny trying to get slop together and trying to make a real deck out of it, like in Welcome to Wraith, where you're just like, yeah, I'm playing yellow Savage Feast, Snapdragon Scalers do a thing or whatever, and it's like, it's playable, but like
that's fun once.
It's silly and it's fun and it's scrappy, and not everyone's into that. No. Some people want all their cards to feel.
I like
good?
making a deck that works.
Yeah,
that does the thing that I want it to do.
Because I think with older sets, you can 100% make a deck that just actually can't function or is consistently 5 to 10 points of value down within the entire deck, which that feels bad.
For sure.
So. See, old William would have said, skill diff, you just draft better. But I think I changed it a little bit.
Make a better draft experience.
Yeah, you can just make a better draft experience.
Like, the last year and a half is just proof of that.
And
it's so important.
I think maybe old LSS as well, but old William was definitely like boomer about that, where it's like, nah, just get better. You know, it doesn't.
It's
You
a
don't have to
completely
make the
different
draft
thing.
better. You just are. You just get better. But no, you can just make it better.
Yeah, it is a different thing to have a well-made draft experience, and like that, like I said, like heavy hitters was the first time like I even like kind of felt that, where it's like it felt more interesting to play
They,
sealed. It felt
I
more
think,
fun to do this, like because I'd played like Monarch sealed and Monarch draft, and I was just like, this is meh.
I think Outsiders was the
It's
first set where they
fine.
started adding in rares that were only one color, and then they kind of brought it back into heavy hitters.
Yeah, a little bit,
Yeah,
not a huge amount, but yeah.
like the block
And then
cards
Mistveil,
and some other things. Yeah,
yeah, yep.
yeah, and
And
then
then
Mistveil
Mistveil,
they
they
went all in
leaned
on it. Yeah,
into the distribution. Well, they leaned into just whole set distribution
yeah,
of
yes.
red, yellow, blue.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I remember I opened up a bunch of Mistveil, and I had like it would be like 2-1-2 ratio of red, yellow, blue, which is like much better for your
Yeah,
drafting
yeah,
experience.
yeah. It
because
was much different.
You didn't want yellows. It didn't do anything, and that was also a problem when Enigma is in your format.
I think you want
You-
as LSS you want yes, but I think LSS wants to find a way to where you want the yellows. You want yellows in the draft, and you want the yellows in the draft.
Yes,
I think that's
what they want.
that's what they want.
They want players to want to draft these yellows, and that's like part of what they've done with like the Gold Hunter cycle.
So,
where it's like it's
yeah.
a 4 for 7, but it becomes a 2 for 7 if they have more gold than you, or even just like yellow battalion bark is still just gonna be an 8 attack.
That card's insane. Yeah, 8 or 7.
Like I'm happy to draft that.
Yeah, it's so crazy. And I think this is like maybe my new gold standard. Is gold standard mean average or above average? But I think this is what
It's the benchmark.
I don't know if I can call this the benchmark, but this is what I want my benchmark to look like. This is definitely the like when someone says this is a great or near perfect draft set, I'm looking at its comparison to heavy hitters because this one feels like every card is specifically intentional. You're enjoying all of them, and that's what I want, right? Like, I don't know. I think sets going forward should be the minimum, which is asking a lot, and it's asking a lot of designing
That's
the
hard.
set. Yeah, it's like for us it sounds really hard, but I keep thinking of this through the lens of I've played Magic drafts before, and every set feels that way. Your bad Magic sets like still have interesting draft picks. It's just that playing the game feels bad.
Sure.
Because they put infect in it or something stupid.
Sure.
But
I think you can say that this draft is a 10 and look at a set that is an 8 and still be objective about it.
yeah,
Because like this can be the one that you measure sets by, but like if it's still an 8, is it still good? Yeah, that's still a good draft set.
I guess
This
I mean
is
like
not like
I guess I
this
mean
is
in
not like when Mistveil came out,
Yeah.
and Mistveil just like really set the standard for draft, where everyone had it suddenly at a 10 and everything else was a 6 or below.
Yes.
Because
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what happened
Yeah.
with Mistveil coming out.
Mistveil was
And now we have
good.
High Seas,
Mm-hmm.
Rosetta's at a 9, Mistveil's at an 8, Hunted is at a 7,
Yeah.
and then Heavy Hitters is at a 6.
I guess what I mean is like if we have Hunted 2 where there's a bunch of gotcha cards and there's a bunch of other things like that people find are not fun, but every card in the set feels 100% like curated and picked out and everything, I'm calling that like it hit the benchmark because what I'm looking for is that every card was intentionally put into the draft.
Yep.
That's my new benchmark is I want to feel like every card in the set is intentionally put in the draft. I would love to see that going forward. It sounds like a lot of extra work, but
I mean, it sounds like what you should be doing with a draft set
yeah.
to me.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who has not played TCGs for my entire life, who's only played Flesh and Blood for 3 years, that sounds like what you should do for a draft set. This is not a set. This is not a supplemental set. This is not Everfest, where we're just dropping a bunch of cards in like the CC format's fine, which it wasn't. Like, this is you have to put cards in this set with the intent of them being drafted.
Mm-hmm.
And we see the problems with this in Monarch,
Mm-hmm.
in Arcane,
Yes.
in,
Oh.
like
Arcane might be
in
the roughest
those kinds
draft.
of sets.
And the fact that
Yeah,
they're like,
it
we're
is.
doing Arcane Rising First Ed in Auckland, I was like, wow, that's super cool to open those packs.
I'll open my packs and go home.
Like the games can be played, but like, holy frick.
Yeah, like that's like where I'm at, where it's like,
That said, I've won an Arcane draft as Azalea, which is unheard of.
that's rare.
Yeah.
But no, I think this set is great, and yeah, it's going to be the benchmark because the gameplay feels good, the drafting process feels good, and they found a way to do that with classes and with cards in the pack that can only go to one hero.
That's it. That's
So-
how I'm going to say this. Is I'm going to say that Flesh and Blood as a game consistently to me always feels good. So my benchmark test is on drafting is for the draft. If the drafts feel curated like this, then you've
Sure.
hit my new benchmark. This is what I want to see.
Okay.
Different people like different things out of the gameplay.
Yeah.
I'm sure some people are just pissed because there's allies in this set, but like, yeah.
I've heard a lot less of that than I expected.
I feel like the allies aren't like as warping as I thought they would be.
No,
I
they're
thought they
not.
were going to be huge, but they're.
No,
I mean,
it's
there's still a
because you
big
don't-
point, but like, yeah.
Yeah, but they're still action point gated, which is like the whole thing for Gravy Bones they like fixed from the other illusionists is like how do you figure out action points? And it's
Yeah.
like something they kind of learned from New Prism
It
is like where they should start
snowballs,
balancing that.
but not as detrimentally.
Not nearly as bad.
Yeah, you can just
Not
hit
even
him in the
close
face.
to as bad as the others.
Yo gabba gabba, you can just punch him in the mouth. So, oh well. I feel like we could just talk on and on
we're
about
just-
the
we're
exact
just
same
going.
things on repeat, but like,
Yep.
I think that about wraps it up. That's all we got. Kevin, you got any shout outs?
The Patreon? Is that still a
Patreon.
thing?
The Table Pit has a Patreon, patreon.com/thetablepit, or it may be at the Table Pit, where you can give us money if you really think this is interesting and you want to see us keep doing this. Specifically, the best part about the Patreon is like all the Patreon money goes into making sure that these Discord calls are crisp and that also it supplies the goods for the new projects, which the new project video is hopefully coming up soon. More shout outs. Smurph channel, constantly pumping out good quality videos. You got a new one coming up? New video?
I think it should go up tomorrow, but it's a very quick one, just
Heck yeah.
on like the spectra changes and something you can do because of it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And then the other shout out, there was another shout out. Okay, you're going to Nationals, so we're probably not going to have next week's stream. But you're going to be at Nationals. Someone sees Kevin at Nationals. What are they doing? You want people coming up to you and saying
you
hi
can-
or not?
you can.
Is he going to be too focused? You're going to walk up to him and talk to him, and he's going to have 1,000-yard stare as he's thinking about his next draft?
I mean, like I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be hanging out. I'm gonna be playing Nats. Yeah, I don't know.
Heck yeah. No. Say hi to Kevin if you see him there. I'm sure he'll absolutely love that. Talk
Yeah.
Prism. Kevin will always talk Prism.
Sure.
So,
Oh yeah.
other than that, there's going to be a stream on Saturday where I'm just going to be playing Talishar with our buddy Wyatt. And then later on in the day, there's going to be another stream where I'm streaming with Amy. We're going to be doing Flesh and Blood themed art. And then on Sunday for Joshua Scott, I might be streaming Go. I'm pretty sure I'm going to do it. I want to do it. But we'll see. But thank y'all so much for watching. Bye.